All right, guys, so now I want to get into deleting items. But before we do that, I want to work with the back button. So if we go into the edit state, back, all we need this to do is clear the edit state out. We actually already have a UI controller method that does that, clear edit state. So what we'll do is go into our main app controller. Where is it? This is starting to get really big. Let's see. So right here, our event listeners. And I'm going to just copy one of these, paste this in. Let's say back button event. So we want to grab the UI selector's back button, add an event listener for click, and then all we have to do, we don't have to create a new function to call. We can do UI controller dot clear edit state. Okay, so now if we were to go back, put something in here, I didn't mean to do 666, and edit and then click back, it clears out the state. Okay, so now let's move on to the delete. So again, I'm going to copy this right here, paste that in. So this will be the delete item event, which is going to have the UI selector delete button, and then it's going to call a function called item delete submit. All right, so we'll go down here just like we created all of these functions. We'll go right below item update submit. So we'll say const item delete submit. Okay, let's try it out. Say 1, 2, 3. Oops. All right, so if we go ahead and add something here, and we click, let's open up our console, click delete, and I get 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the ID that we need from the current item. So let's say get current item. So we'll create a variable called current item, set it to item controller. Oops. So item controller, we already have a method called get current item. All right, then we want to delete from data structure. So that's going to be through the item controller. Delete item, and we're going to pass in the current item dot ID. Okay, so let's save that. Let's go up to our item controller and let's create delete item. We'll put it right under the update item. Okay, and that's going to take in the ID. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to do this a little different. We're going to first of all get the IDs, and we're going to do this using the map method. Okay, so which is sort of like the for each, except it returns something. So let's say IDs equals let's say data dot items dot map, and we're going to put a function. And we'll put in here item, and then we're just going to return item.id. All right, and then down here we want to get the index, so we'll say index equals IDs dot index of ID. All right, and then we simply want to splice it out of the array. So we'll say remove item by saying data dot items dot splice, and we just want to pass in the index, and then 1. We would just want to take 1 from the index. All right, so let's save that, and let's try it out. Now it's not gonna show in the UI, but we can always use our log data method. So let's say test 300, whoops, 3000, whatever. Test 2, 200. All right, so let's click on test 2 and click delete. Let's open up our console and let's do item controller log data, and you can see in the items there's only one, which is test. So it deleted it from the data structure, which is what we want. All right, so now let's go back down. Go back down to item delete submit. Okay, right here. Now we want to delete it from the actual UI. So let's put a comment here. We'll say delete from UI. So UI controller dot, and let's call this delete list item, and we're going to pass in current item dot ID. All right, so now we'll go up to our UI controller and we'll go, let's see, we'll go right under the update list item and say delete list item. Okay, that's going to take in the ID. And we're going to say, let's do const item ID equals template string, and we'll say hash item dash, and then we'll put a variable in here which will be the ID. So that's the item ID. Now we want to create a variable called item, set it to document dot query selector, and we want to select it by the item ID. Okay, then we simply want to say item dot remove. Okay, so let's try it. We'll add 3 here. All right, so let's delete chicken. And there it goes, so no more chicken. Now we also want to clear the state, and we also want to update the calories. So what we can do is let's go to the update submit and just copy from that. So we want these 2 lines for the calories and then clear the state. And we'll put those right here. Save that. Let's try it again. I know it's a little tedious. All right, so we got 600 calories, both are 300. Let's delete chicken. It should clear the state and it should change calories to 300. There we go. All right. So now what I want to do is the clear all button. So when we click that, everything should disappear. So let's create an event listener for that. Actually, I don't think we have a UI selector for that either. Let's check. So no, we don't. So let's look at the HTML. And let's see, it has a class of clear button. So it doesn't look like we have that. So I'm going to put that right here. Clear BTN. Oh, that'll be, actually it's clear dash BTN. All right, so now we have that UI selector. So let's go back down to the event listeners. And we'll go ahead and copy, just copy this, I guess. So this will be the clear items event. It's going to be the UI selectors dot clear button, add event listener, click, and then it's going to call a function called clear all items click. Okay, so clear all items click. Now we have to go down and create that. So we'll put that underneath the item delete submit function. We'll say clear items event. So const clear all items click equals function. And let's see, we're going to call the from the item controller, we're going to have a function called clear all items. So let's say delete all items from data structure. So that'll be item controller dot clear all items. All right, so let's go up to item controller. We'll go right under delete item, and we'll say clear all items. And this is really simple. We're just going to say data.items equals an empty array. Okay. So let's see, we can try that out. So if I add something here, and I click the clear all button, nothing happens in the UI, but we can check our log data, and there's nothing in the items array. All right, so we know that that's working. So let's now deal with the UI. So let's see, let's say remove from UI. So UI controller, UI controller dot, we'll say remove item or clear items. Actually, no, we'll say remove, just to avoid confusion with this, with the item controller. So remove items. Let's go up to the UI controller. We'll put this right here. So remove items. Okay, so what we need to do here is create a variable. We're going to use let, and we're going to say list items equals document dot query selector all, and we want to get the list items. So UI selectors dot list items. Okay, just like we did in that other function, wherever that is. Or is it just like we did here in the update? All right, so we're going to grab those, and then we want to turn it into an array. So let's say turn node list into array. List items equals array dot for each, not for each, array dot from list items. All right, then we want to do our for each. So list items dot for each function, and we're going to pass in, let's say item, and then for each one we're going to just say item dot remove. Okay, that'll clear them all out. So let's save that, and let's go back down to the clear items, which is right here, clear all items click. And we want to update the calories. All right, so just like we did in all of the other ones, we're going to grab those. Yeah, so we'll grab those. Actually, let's do the calories before we actually clear. So we'll put those there. And then we also want to hide the list, because right now, if I put something in here and we click clear all, the list is still there. You see the line? So we want to make sure that we hide the UL. And remember, we already have a method for that in the UI controller. So that's going to be hide list. All right, so now if we have something and we clear, we don't have that line, and the calories go back to 0. All right, guys, so that is it as far as the UI goes, as far as our local application. Now, we could stop here, but I want to persist the data. I don't want it to be something where if your browser refreshes, it all disappears. I want it to persist somewhere. So in the next video, we're going to start to look into saving it in local storage. All right, so we'll get into that next.